Welcome, race fans, once again to LSRTV. Excuse me for the nightcap. We're already losing our voice over here. But it is once again here for time for the Northwest Cup Series. And, well, it's going to be a good one, to say the least. And once again, I am Trolls alongside Sam Dyer. Sam, it's back-to-back. We really hadn't even been gone, and we're already back at it again here for the Northwest Cup Series.
Yeah, just had a slight little bit of a fun break with 4th of July, and boom, we're back. It's now Nashville Super Speedway, a 1.3 mile course that NASCAR has just touched, a couple of weeks back, and now we get to see it for ourselves here for the Northwest Cup Series and seeing how exactly do these drivers kind of settle into this concrete beast of a track where it's all about saving your tires and seeing if you can make it for these whole 140 laps.
Yeah, and of course, qualifying is underway at the moment. And, we talked to the league and a while back here. And anybody that happens to be new out there wondering, well, why aren't you covering qualifying? Well, we don't cover qualifying because if you see where your driver qualifies, what's the point in the grid? You look at NASCAR. They do cover qualifying technically, but it's usually on if the main race is on Fox, the qualifying is on Fox Sports 1 or Fox Sports 2 on an obscure channel that not everybody has access to. You have to pay to get it. So, no, we're not going to charge you to watch qualifying, but, it gives a little more value to the grid. And, of course, our team 126 Racing starting grid, so we like to make sure our sponsors get noticed, so it kind of helps out there as well. But they are qualifying again. This is Nashville Super Speedway, and can we really call it a super speedway? It's only 1.3 miles.
Hey, we have Nashville Fairgrounds that was added to iRacing sooner than this. This is a super speedway compared to the Fairgrounds setup. But yeah, if you compare it to modern tracks of like Daytona, Talladega, it really doesn't compare to those mile-and-a-half courses. But in some ways, it gives you that sense of super speedway action on the straightaways, where the draft can be slightly prevalent for these Cup guys. But we know for sure dirty air is also going to be a factor here tonight.
Yeah, I want to refer to this as a vintage super speedway. Really is what I see it as. I'm not sure if fans out there would agree. But I think more of a vintage super speedway because, back in the day, in the 1980s, back in the big day of, drivers like Kel Yarbrough, Dale Earnhardt Sr., those drivers back then, this would have been a super speedway because NASCAR was technically more short tracks. And as they've progressively got bigger, they've gotten to where this isn't a super speedway, it's just a speedway at this point. Technically less than a speedway because most of those are 1.5 miles. So technically, I think, Sam, can we agree it's a super speedway of the vintage era?
Oh, completely. This track was originally made back in 2001, so around that time where short track racing was slowly coming to a close. But, vintage-wise, I can agree to that for sure. And another factor that makes this track so interesting is the concrete surface, which this track was, owned by the Dover Motorsports Inc., which Dover formerly known and kind of famously known for their concrete surface. So it's going to be one of those things where this track just is more and more unique the more you look at it.
Yeah, it definitely gets more and more unique. And, maybe we can talk to maybe Nashville Speedways out there listening in. They should coin their slogan. Every track has a slogan they use. I think Nashville Speedway should crown theirs as Nashville Speedway, the original super speedway. There you go. There you go, Nashville. If you're listening out there, there's you a catchphrase for your track.
That's gonna be a real hard stickler. I don't. That's gonna be a difficult one to try to sneak under Daytona's nose. But you could try for sure.
Hey, if they were there first, then they can claim it. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But there is your race information presented by raceontexas.com. 30-minute practice, that's come and gone. 2-lap qualifying undergoing right now. 140-lap race, Sam, and we've already talked to a couple of the drivers prior to coming in here, and we know that they're going to be running roughly 30-second laps. So we're looking, about 70 minutes, about an hour and 10 minutes of race time, assuming we don't have a whole lot of cautions. This race could drag on, or it could go very quickly.
Yeah, this course still very new to a lot of these drivers. So I know that the ARCA guys got to touch on it on Friday, giving them more track time, such as, for Kevin Smith or other drivers like Ryan Bloom that have gotten a little bit more help, and Carl Burke, to be on this track, get more of that track experience so you can translate it here, because honestly, a lot of drivers, it's get as much track time as possible, get that experience built up, because this is one of the few super speedways where the brakes are going to be utilized to really get into these corners. And you also got to be focusing on your tires throughout the night. 140 laps, it's a long time. And also, these drivers are only going to have 4 sets of tires, ones that they start out the race with and 3 in pit road. So they've also got to conserve on the amount of tires they want to use throughout the night.
Yeah, they can. As you see that, you can't see who it is. That's Jeff Stabnauer, 4K replay, LSRTV. Ford out on track. He's pulling in, but quickly, you talk about tires and not having very many. We'll pull up the sawblade.com weather conditions, and there you can see track or air temp only 85 degrees. Quite frankly, if you're in California or in Texas, I would settle for 85 degrees right now. Wind speed 12 miles per hour, partly cloudy. Track temp 109. That's closer to what the air temperature is in real life in California. I feel bad for you over there. Not much better here in Texas, but 109 degree track temp. We saw it upwards of 139 nearly earlier for the AIRL. So it's actually cooler, but still a hot track.
Yeah, they were at New Smyrna in that AIRL race in Florida, and now these guys are in Nashville racing with this, which is awesome to see, is they actually set the track kind of to a realistic weather. So that's why these drivers dealing with a hotter temperature, as it has been pretty warm here in the summertime. Over here in California, though, it's been very nice. Around 80 has been over here. Over the weekend, it was in the mid to high 90s, but it's starting to cool off as we've gotten to the weekday. But qualifying has come to a close. It's grid time here, Charles.
Yeah, we got new music. Not a clue what's going to come up, so we never really know what we're going to get here, but this is definitely not the music we had earlier, so that's kind of sad. But the national anthem going. But regardless of what is playing, it is time, of course, for your Team 126 starting grid, and we'll just go. We'll do 5 rows by 5 rows. On the first row, going to be the 44 of Dennis Moore. On his outside is going to be Dan West Jr. 2 very talented drivers. Be looking to see how they fare here in tonight's race. Row number 2 is going to be Justin Yee and Chris White in the 66 and the 83. Row 3 is going to be the 09 of Lake Peterson and the 94 of Casey Garber. Row 5 is going to be the 46th of Sean Brightsman and the 10 of Cole Raz, fresh off of probation, as he had a little suspension there, but he could have come back in Pocono, but he decided to go real racing. Comes back here for Nashville, Sam. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
no, I stepped there. Row 5. I'm just kidding with you, Sam. Row 5 going to be the 96 of Noah Sherwinski and the 00 of Kevin Smith from Tom Denschel Auto Group. And now, Sam, that was row 5. I got ahead of myself.
I wasn't sure if we're going to do 4 and then 6. It's now in row number 6. We're going to be finding that at BJ Tidrick. Going to be in the 11th position for the 72, and then that of Stephen O'Hare in 12th. Go back to row number 7. Jeff Stabnow in the 24, as well as Ryan Bloom in the 25 and 14th position. Go back to row number 8. Tyler King, one of the drivers that was having a great run at Pocono. We'll see if the Beaver State boys can carry on that momentum with that of Dan Lather, going to be in 16th. Go back to row number 9. Carl Burke with Briar Reynolds going to be 17th and 18th. And row number 10, we're going to be finding that of Frank Harris and that of Clifford, running of Toby Ritters. We'll see if Ritters can have a great showing here tonight.
That will be looking, and we'll quickly finish this one out as it'll be one lap. 58 of Stephen Paulison and Troy Daggett, row 11. Row 12 gonna be Devin West and Sean Ottenbacher. There's an interesting pit road there. Row 13 gonna be the 92 of Casey Tillman and the 13 of Ryan Maines. Row 14 gonna be the 50 and the 2. And row 15 gonna be the 37 to 71 of Anderson and Cooper. And rounding out the field is gonna be row 16 with Dan Stuzzi. That will do it, of course, for your Team 126 Racing starting grid, and these guys are set to go.
Yeah, our final three drivers, that of Caden Anderson, Cooper, and Stuzzi, did not put a time down, so they're going to be having to figure out how to cut their way through the field. But for Dennis Moore up front, he's been getting great qualifying times, but can he find the race pace here to finish this thing off? As drivers getting set up to go green, green flag in the air, as it's going to be time for us to kick some asphalt.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. These cars are absolutely flying around this track. And Sam, no surprise, we kind of figured they would. We heard they would. As you can see, there are 31 drivers in this race for tonight's race, and it's gonna be a dandy. And we may have technical issues on Sam's side. Not seeing... I don't think his mic is currently muted here for the moment. It's having maybe some tech issues. What a race indeed, as we already jump to the front of this, and it's going to be Dennis Moore, and it looks like we have Sam back, but Dennis Moore out front leading this race. Dan West Jr. right behind him, so not much changing up front here, Sam, in the early laps.
Yeah, early on, Dennis Moore doing a great job carrying his speed, and also with Dan West Jr. following behind. The driver to watch out for in 5th place, Lake Peterson, fastest during practice. We'll see if we can carry that speed on, as really Lake Peterson was dominant back at Pocono, but it really hasn't been showing as much speed here early on. Didn't get the qualifying time I was expecting him to have, but right now the field kind of spread out, giving each other inside and plenty of room. The only drivers that I'm getting concerned about making some moves might be the newcomer. I'm not really a newcomer, but the man that came back, Cole Raz, back in 7th place. He's going to be trying to make his charge up into the top 5.
Yeah, he is trying to work his way into the top 5. And again, we don't sugarcoat it. He knows what happened. And, you know, he was on a suspension for a couple of races. He could have come back at Pocono. Ooh, a little contact there between him and Noah Sherwinski. But they keep going. But yeah, he was on probation for a little while. I believe it's for intentional caution, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have to confirm that. I'm not 100% sure on that. But regardless, he was on probation. He could have come back in Pocono. He was off racing real life, as he does do that, and did quite well at it, I might add. But he is back here racing, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares after being away for a couple of weeks. And keep in mind, when you're on probation or suspension...
contact in the back. It's going to be BJ Tidrick. Jeff Stabnow onto the inside. No yellow waves, but both drivers issue. It looked like that Stabnow might have brushed the outside wall and launched himself as... was coming out of the corner. They made contact. As here is your Pole Popper's instant replay. But both drivers, hard contact, and this is not how you want to start the race off, especially with no caution coming out.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And we'll zoom in to see what we can see here. Jeff Stabenow going to the inside. He gets a little loose there, but he doesn't completely get sideways. And we'll see what happens. Oh, yeah, just right there. Just gets loose and collides with them, and then collides with them again as they both go hard into the inside wall. And that is going to cause several drivers to have to check up, and they're going to fall back a little bit, and you don't want to lose that draft that you have here. But, man, major hit for those two, BJ Tidrick and Jeff Stabenow.
And now going to be going for the lead. Dan West Jr. to the inside, almost with ease, getting by the 44 of Dennis Moore. And looking at this field, tires are going to be a major factor for us to touch on. And I kind of had the marker of around 15 to 20 laps. If you were really pushing your tires to their max early in this race, you'd start to fall back from there. But 10 laps in, Dennis Moore, he's starting to falter just a little bit, and he's got to watch out. Justin Yee, Lake Peterson, teammates trying to figure out how to get themselves at least 1-2.
Yeah, they definitely are. And meanwhile, check in Jeff Stabenow. He is back on the track here. Well, will be momentarily anyway. And I'm curious here. I want to see if there's a blue cone. There is. Very interesting that there's a blue cone here, being that this track did not have a blue line probably back in the day, but they do here. They could have had a blue line. I don't know. But, being as old as it is, I wouldn't imagine they did. But you're right. Here come the Bumblebee cars in the 66 and the 9. Their teammates faltering. He's back a little bit. Noah Zerlinski. He is back just a little bit, but he is in that group, so he could potentially have something for them here in the next little bit. But Dan West Jr. again took that lead and really hasn't looked back from it, so he got to keep a very close eye on Dan West Jr. and see, if those tires do fall, and he's already catching BJ Tidrick.
Yeah, and right now it's going to be BJ Tidrick just trying to go on the high side, let the lead pack go, as right now our top 7 all in this line. Actually, our top 8, Shawensky's all the way in the back of this, but Dan West Jr. just leading the charge of drivers. And looking at some of the drivers inside of our top 8 that are in this charge, Casey Garber going to be watching Cole Raz spin around, bringing out our first yellow as Raz it spun around in the entry of turn 1 into 2, and luckily no one else was involved, as I was just about to talk about the driver in front of him, and then I saw the 10 spinning around.
Yeah, we saw it from the rear cam on the back of the 55 of Dan West Jr. You can see him spin, and we're going to see what happened here. Was there contact between him and another driver? That would have been Shawensky if there was contact. We'll have to wait and see as the drone camera don't lie. And yeah, right there, the shot in the shorts. Around he goes.
Right on the left quarter panel, right where you don't want to be clipped, and Tyler King barely able to sneak by without making contact with the 10. Well, Raz, this is not the way. He comes back from suspension and being clipped early in the race. Luckily, these drivers do have fast repair if needed for Raz, but this is not how he wanted his race to start out at all.
Yeah, definitely not how you want it. And I'm curious if drivers are going to come down and take tires. Your leader, no, and they're trying to fake people out behind them, and nobody's falling for that.
No, I mean, they certainly could try, but I think everyone's recognizing, hey, it's a little bit too early to take tires. Some drivers in the back half of the pack recognizing, hey, we can come in, top off with fuel, maybe stretch this thing a little bit further. So it's going to be John Ottenbacher, who was up in 19th, coming into pit road, and everyone from 24th on back coming in just to top off, possibly get some damage to repair. This is great for that of Jeff Stabenow to try to get his lap back. But it didn't help that much, as it looks like driver getting his lap back might be that of BJ Tidrick.
Yeah, we're going to see here. Maybe we can take a word with Jeff Stabenow, see what happened to that car. So we're going to step aside for just a moment, see if we can grab him, and see what he has to say. We'll be right back. All right, and we got a word with Jeff, and we're going to talk to him in a minute. We went over his radio, and he said, "Get out of here, fool, I'm about to pit." No, he didn't say that, but he did say he was about to come down and pit over the radio, so his words were, "As soon as you see me leave the pit, you can pull me. I'll drive slow so I won't get caught speeding. I have no positions to gain anyway." So those were Jeff's words. So as soon as we see him leave his stall, we'll pull him down here and see what happened. And his dancing partner in the 72 also down on pit road, BJ Tidrick, and there he's done with fuel only. We knew that's what he was getting, and now we get to bring Jeff's in, and hopefully he drives slow and we don't make him wreck like some other drivers, announcers do. But Jeff, what happened to the car there earlier? It just looked like it got a little loose on you, maybe.
No, there's a little contact with the car on the outside. I was trying to pass underneath there, and it's really, really slick coming off that corner. And I don't know if he got on the wall or got loose or what, or if I just took up too much track there. But either way, we made contact, and it sent me into the infield, and we're on the backup car 2 laps down now.
Well, the backup car does look good. We may have to penalize you for tearing up our LSRTV 4K car, but, for other than that, it's going pretty good. We'll see if we can get you back up to the front. But, Sam, any questions for our driver who tore up our LSRTV 4K car?
I mean, Jeff, from here on out, you're 2 laps down. What is the goal from here on out?
We just got to ride around, can't go 3 laps down, try to get a lucky dog. I just topped off on fuel, so I should have about 10 laps extra than most of these guys. So just trying to make sure all options are available. And, if we can take a wave around, we'll take a wave around. If not, we'll, hopefully get a couple of quick cautions and get in position for a lucky dog.
All right. Well, Jeff, we're not Wesley. Wesley, hope you're out there listening. So we're not going to keep you here under green flag conditions where we would wreck you. Shout out to Wesley, who's at some racetrack, I think. But we miss him. But, Jeff, good luck, and we'll be talking to you later.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. And hopefully Wesley's out there at least tuning into the race tonight, Yeah, I would imagine by now, wouldn't you? Well, I don't know, 11 o'clock, depending on where he is. If it's 12, he might be done with his real race. So he might be tuning in here. Obviously, he's going to be tired and probably not have very good internet. So, that's why he's not here. But, maybe he's tuning in to us tonight.
I mean, that'd be cool if he was. Chiming in, saying, hey, as the pace car rolls off, Dan West Jr. going to be taking us to the green, and Dennis Moore got caught sleeping already, having Justin Yee moving up to second place.
Yeah, definitely a wild start here. We'll see how it goes. We should have had 2 cautions, but only had 1 so far. So we'll see how it all plays out. Chris White having a good run for himself. And quick to answer a question in the chat, we had someone in there asking how much we charge per race. It really varies. It depends on how long the race is, and stuff like that, how long the season is, if there's any discounts applied in there for extensively long seasons, how many announcers you want, if you want a dedicated producer. If your best chance, if you are looking to hire us, just go check out Facebook and look up LSRTV or LSRTV on our website.net. You can check us out on there.com. Easiest way to get a hold of us. Somebody will get a hold of back to you on Facebook very quickly, either myself or Jeff Stabnow. But back to the racing action we go, and Sean Brightsman now making his way as he started in 7th. He's actually down 3 spots, but still, I don't want to count him out. He's one of those drivers that he may not be at the front now, but he will be at some point in this race.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Stabnow is same with Lake Peterson. One of the both those drivers have been the most consistent all season long. It's Stabnow trying to make the pass on Kevin Smith, and coming into today's race, top of the board points wise is Stabnow with a total of 3 wins, 7 top 5s, and 10 top 10s. The top 5s and top 10s exactly the same as Lake Peterson. So these guys, they've been on top of the board, staying as consistent as ever. But for Sean Breitzman, it was those road courses, 2 road courses in a row, at Laguna Seca and at Sebring, that really helped Stabnow secure the top of the board in points. And that was a couple of weeks back when we were on those 2-week spree. And since we're getting back to oval racing, it's going to be interesting to see how the 46 tries to adapt, as he's trying to get another Cup championship under his belt, as he's just trying to go down and double down after last season's championship win.
Yeah, he is definitely. And, this is a new look for Chris White. He's still got Interstate Synthetics. Amsoil Diller on there. That is his company. But a new look, red and black. I'm kind of digging that color, red and black. I may be biased because, my school colors were red and black or something like that. We had a saying or something, red and black will always mix, senior class 2006. I don't remember. I barely went to school as it was. I tried to skip as much as I could. But,
just slide yourself by.
just slide by. We didn't need school anyway. But, a good-looking ride there for Chris White, Dan West Jr., not much change in his ride. Still the same blue and white, so with red numbers, but looking good. LSRTV on the side for West Racing. But Justin Yee, he's someone that is just bad fast. You ever heard of the term the ringer? I'm sure you have. He's not a oval ringer, but he came in here and he was just like, "Hi guys, see ya," and won races. That was Justin Yee and Lake Peterson when they came into the Northwest. They came in and, they were here for taking names and chewing bubblegum, and they were all out of bubblegum, and they just came in like lightning strike, won races, and, when they're here, they're dominating. When they're not here, well, then they're not here.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are so quick. Both of them as a total, they've won at 6 races this season. So they're just trying to continue on with that streak that they've been doing as a team. So consistent, as Lake Peterson has won 5 races and Yee with his 1. And both drivers, I want to recount that, as Yee has not won one, but he's gotten a pole, and he would have won a couple, except for Lake Peterson was the driver that was in front of him during that time. Sean Breitzman moving up and trying to carry as much speed as possible. Our top 4 continuing to pull away. Top 4 within a second, and then you got to go back 2.5 seconds. That's where you find that of Chris White, and the train behind him of that of Casey Garber. And oh boy, drivers in the middle of the back, all on top of one another. This is the battle for 14th on back, and they are all not giving an inch. And sometimes it takes this much of battling if you want to find yourself in the top 10.
Yeah, you do. You got Carl Burke back here running a good run for him. At the moment, 13th. We'll see. That is actually 5+ where he started in 17th. So good run for Carl Burke here tonight, as he's going to push Dan West Jr. Devin West up the track a little bit. As though I get the Dans and Devins mixed up. They need like Billy and Dan or something. He pushes him up the track just a little bit. And you'll see right there, you've got Kevin Smith running a Tom Mitchell Auto Group right in the middle of this. And you see that 25, that is Ryan Bloom. No, that is not, was it Kyle or Kurt Busch that used to drive that car?
Kurt Busch still runs the Monster Energy drink every once in a while. He didn't win with it this past Sunday, but he rocks that Monster Energy drink, and he's going to try to carry that sponsor wherever he goes, as he doesn't know what his next ride's going to be.
Yeah, he definitely didn't he? He won this week, didn't he? Yeah, so good job for him on picking that up. When we go further back, these guys are still battling it out, and it looks like Kevin Smith may be having some connection issues. But, we mentioned this prior to going live on the air is, props and hats off to Jeff, Sean, and everybody else, Otto, all these guys that are on the committee, all these guys that helped run this Northwest Cup and Truck Series. Last year we would struggle to get 15 drivers in a race, maybe 20 on a good night. Our worst night is 31 drivers so far, 30 somewhere in there. Maybe road course there was a few less. But we are packing the house right now with 30-plus drivers every race, and it is producing some really, really good racing, and that's what you're seeing right now. I'm all the way back in 25th spot, and you're seeing 2 and 3 wild card battles. So, again, just amazing racing that we've seen all season here for the Northwest Cup and Truck Series.
Yeah, whenever we're at these mile and a halfs or oval races, this is a 1.3 mile course. We're up in the 30s of drivers showing up, and still, as you see there, Frank Harris, doing his best to run that outside lane to survive, as still everyone within the top 15 are willing to get aggressive on one another. And I think one of the biggest surprises here has to be Devin West and also Kevin Smith. They're still battling one another, but we're used to this battle up around 8th place. They're battling for 17th and 18th.
Yeah, that's, you're used to seeing Devin West. He's won some races. Of course, so has Kevin Smith. But like you said, we're used to seeing these two battle now up towards the front ever since the ARCA series came around. Kevin Smith kind of took advantage of that, and he has just rocketed his racing career upwards, and he has done good. And Devin West, kind of surprising to see him this far back. He maybe isn't getting as much practice as he did last season, and that's why we're seeing him a little further back. So unfortunate there, but Ryan Mays and Tyler King, they're the ones battling now. They've kind of settled it out as we talk about it. Oh, by the way, we are 34 laps in of 140. We're going to be less than 100 to go in 7 laps.
Yeah, and looking at how the drivers might want to think about tire strategies here, around lap 50 to 55, with that caution that came, might push these drivers out that far of when they might think about making their pit stop. For those that came in and topped off, they might be thinking about stretching it out to lap 60 to 65 if we're going to have green flag pit stops. But for Dan Lowther, he just got passed about right before we switched the camera over to this battle that's going on for 11th place. Lather got passed by both Ryan Maines and by Tyler King 3 wide, and he was stuck in the middle trying to rebound and move his way forward. But everyone's trying to figure out how to truly attack this course. Still new to iRacing, a 1.3 mile course where it's on the concrete. Drivers have to utilize the brake just slightly to get their right exit and entry into these corners, and it certainly is becoming an art on how you want to conserve your tires, as it's still hot on this racing surface. It's still the same temperature, race temp, as it was during qualifying, 109. And we're going to keep our eye on that, see if it rises or lowers, and if these drivers are going to enjoy a lower temp, or if this high temp is helping them get their way around this course.
Yeah, this is a temp. Again, not the hottest we've ever seen, but not the coolest by any mean. And, you're looking at this track here, and you can see the brown on there. And, we have seen this on iRacing where dirt was on the track. It was actually a mistake. But it makes you wonder, is this track, have a little dirty to it? Dirt on the track may be a little dirty. And could that affect the handling?
Oh, I know the winds have been swirling. They've been changing anywhere from 11 to 8 miles per hour. And so with the winds kind of swirling the way that they are, could be pushing some dirt onto the racing surface where these drivers have to worry about it. But I think for now, everyone's just trying to keep themselves a little quiet from getting themselves in trouble, as right now, just seeing the second group of cars being led by that of Chris White. And he's got that of Stephen O'Hara and Tyler King put on a dazzling show last 2 weeks ago at Pocono, showing off teamwork on how to save fuel with one another, with the fact that drafting was so prevalent at Pocono and fuel mileage was truly a key factor. They were one of the only ones back at Pocono in the Cup Series to stretch it out to turn this race into a one-stop, but I don't think that either one of those Beaver State drivers are going to be thinking about stretching this race to a one-stopper. I think their goals might be still 2 stops from here on out. Yeah,
and I definitely agree. And what I will say here, as well as we are coming up on lap 40, being the way we're going here as we roll, seeing that we're not probably going to have too many cautions. We do have sponsors we need to thank, so we got something new so you don't miss any of the racing action. We're going to step away to a quick word from Tom Essential Auto Group, and when we come back, we'll see if pit stops are just about underway.
every customer, every single time, needs to get our very best. From moment one, my goal managing a team here in the dealership is to make sure that that customer's experience is the very best that they've ever had. We expect and demand total transparency. There should never be a time in that transaction where the customer is wondering or not quite sure of what they're buying or what they're paying or those sorts of things. And having that transparency and doing things the right way is super important.
All right, and again, we told you we'd be right back. A quick commercial break there from Confidential Auto Group. And Sam, if you need a car, I'd go check them out. So, I can personally vouch when they say they have inventory, they do. Around here, we don't have a whole lot of inventory. So, they will deliver. You can order online. So definitely, check them out. And if you do end up getting a car from them, make sure you tell them, hey, I heard about it here on LSRTV. And let them know where you heard it from, because that helps us. They know that coming to us is beneficial to them.
Yeah, I mean, inventory is something that a lot of auto groups are struggling with, and I gotta say, Tom Dinchel, they're doing a great job at making sure they've got inventory for you if you need a vehicle. But I want to note that overlay, we now have side-by-side Tom Dinchel. We've been excited to see that coming out. It's awesome to see the graphics that come out for LSR TV week in and week out.
Yeah, it's definitely a work in progress, but we got them out finally, and good to have there, and it's really in the long run. So it looks like Carl Burke coming down, so right in time. We knew the commercial would be done and we'd go into pit stops, but when it comes down to it, we're all about the fans watching, and we got to thank the sponsors, but at the same time, we want to make sure the fans out there don't miss anything, and that's what it comes down to. Making sure we please everybody, or at least everyone we can, and that's where the side-by-side come out. We love them, so we can see their racing action and get word from the sponsor, as Carl Burke is going to be off and away, and it looks like we're going to have a few more. Dan Lowther coming in as well. So pit stops are well underway, and Sam, you kind of predicted that we would see people start coming in.
Yeah, I thought this would be kind of the time that we would see drivers if the race had gone green without that first initial caution. So I think some drivers sticking with their strategy, even if that caution had come out. Starting the train of drivers going to pit road was actually that of Briar Reynolds and Devin West, as they were racing back at around 25th position coming into pit road. So kind of shocking to see some of these drivers that are further back coming into pit road, like a Devin West that we've seen win. His win came at Dirt Bristol, but still, we're expecting seeing the 5 machine being quick. We'll see if he can rebound as the race goes on, but looking at the field right now, this is going to be an interesting race, as playoffs right around the corner, not including today's race. There are 6 more races to go from here on out that these drivers have left in the regular season. So the anticipation of playoffs right around the corner, only the top 12 in points get to make it into a chance to race for a championship run. And those points, some of those drivers that are inside the top 12, they look pretty comfortable points-wise. Those are at the bubble spots. They got to make sure they continue to run consistent. Yeah,
consistent is the key. You don't have to win every single race, but you definitely have to be consistent. And, you'll see the drivers that can do it. You got your Brightsmans, Dan West Jr., Peterson, Moore, Yee. The guys that are up front right now, those are the guys that are consistent. King, Maine's becoming a little more consistent. Kevin Smith, definitely. Toby Ritter's consistently putting on good finishes. He's actually right now +5 from where he started. So he's doing good here tonight as well in that big red Clifford car. So a lot of drivers out here have just leaps and bounds improved from last season, and a lot of that comes down to the sessions. They have practice sessions every week, and people attend these and they learn from them, and that's what's helping a lot of them.
Yeah, those practice sessions, you've got some of the faster guys that come in, try to give advice for some of the drivers that might not have had as much track or experience coming in. One of our drivers that was inside of our top 5 coming into pit road, Dennis Moore coming into pit road, and Do want to give note, Dan Stuzzi not able to finish out this race. He actually came in and parked his car about 13 laps ago. So the 78, our one and only DNF, but you hate to see it, is, oh no, Wakefield, mistakes coming into pit road, as here comes that of Dan West Jr., our leader, who might have just got clipped.
That was close if he didn't get him, and here comes the cavalry in. Just like that, the floodgates are open, and oh my, can you imagine if Judd Wakefield had spun that thing just a little bit later in front of that pack of about 10 people that came in?
I mean, even if he had clipped Dan West Jr. and spun him around, as here comes Harris spinning as well coming into pit road. Just issues of coming from the concrete onto the asphalt to try to slow down, and that transition, drivers just aren't used to how you're supposed to slow down, it looks like, as more drivers trickling in, as Garber, the next driver into pit road that we see. AC Garber, one of those drivers that needs to start having more consistent runs outside of the top 12 in points coming into this race. So for the that 94 team, it's finishing the top 10. Hope that those other drivers start to have mistakes so you can make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, you got to be consistent, and we'll see how he does as he is pulling in. Did a good stop there. You have a couple that have not come down here. Sean Breitzman, he has not come down pit road yet, and looks like, looking here, our top 9 drivers have not come down pit road. So we'll see if and when these drivers come down. They've got to come down at some point, and get fuel and tires. Do you try to stay out to the very last minute, though?
Yeah, I mean, there's some drivers out here that might be thinking about staying out as long as possible, but we're seeing coming in that of Troy Daggett, which this is kind of a surprise. Daggett was one of those drivers that actually came into pit road during our caution break, so he's deciding, I don't want to get too off sequence to some of the other drivers that have already pitted. I'm going to come in now, get service done. But now we're waiting as Ryan Bloom now comes into pit road. Top 7 still need to come in. And of those top 7, in 7th place, John Ottenbacher. In 6th, that of James Thurstquist, as well as Cole Raz. And that of Ryan Maines. They've pitted under our yellow, so they can stay out there still for another couple of laps. But more drivers coming to pit road. That of John Ottenbacher almost overshooting pit entry. So drivers still having some close calls coming into pit road.
And the thing is, if you're hanging out there maybe waiting on a caution, well, it seems like the biggest problem spot for drivers is coming on the pit road. Thus, if they're on pit road, it will not throw a caution because they are off the racing surface technically. And unless somebody's coming into pit road and they're right at the entrance, maybe, just maybe it'll throw a caution. But if they're on pit road, if they're in this dark area right here on your screen, they're not going to throw a caution for it. So you got to be very careful if you're banking on a caution right now so that you can come in and kind of get back on cycle. If you don't want on cycle because you're probably a Sean Breitzman and you've got this like mastermind strategy going on in your head, then he may not want a caution about. He may want to run this out in the pit when he has to. He did get a little bit loose there on those tires.
Yeah, and also you don't want to be caught making any type of mistakes like getting caught speeding. And it looks like we do have some drivers that were caught with mistakes. That of Noah Sherwinski, it looks like he was caught speeding, had to sit in pit road for a little bit longer than he wanted to, costing him time. And also looks like that of Casey Tillman, caught making mistakes on a pit road, also might have had some damage trying to get repaired and decided to park it as well. So that is our second car with a DNF as we're still waiting for our top, that of 6 drivers to come into pit road.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see when they come down. Just so you know, those 6 drivers are Breitzman, Anderson, Maines, Raz, Maines, Ritters, and Thurston are your 6 drivers, and these 2 actually putting on a little battle here between Ryan Maines and Cole Raz. Ritter's a little ways behind them, not quite there, and oh, there you go, there goes King. He's going to shoot by, and so is the 00 as well. So Kevin Smith are going to get by. Those fresh tires, Sam, are golden right now, as these guys are just trucking by each other with those, or the old people anyway, the old tires. They don't have any grip on them. They're just slow right now.
Yeah, right now the drivers that are on older tires running about a second and a half slower than their best time. So they're starting to feel that wear and tear. And some of the other drivers that have kind of put a lot of wear in, such as Ryan Maines, who really was getting passed, had some issues on that last lap and on this lap, running almost 2 seconds slower than his best time. So drivers have to be concerned that staying out and on this off sequence, this could be costing them too much time moving forward as we're inching closer and closer. I gotta say, for Sean Brightsman and Kaden Anderson, Toby Ritters, those three drivers have not pitted yet, and they've got to be concerned on how much longer they want to stay out. I know they're trying to probably stay until that halfway marker, see if they can cut away a pit stop, but this is a risky call on their part to be staying out this long.
You want to see something really crazy? Here's we'll pull up Sean Brightsman's last lap and his best lap. To do what he did, I didn't even know it was possible here based on rounding and stuff. Sean Brightsman almost smacks the wall there. Look at this. His fastest lap in the race, 30.000. A 30 flat. I honestly, I've never seen that ever here on iRacing.
Yeah, the only other driver that's that close is Chris White, who with a 30.002. So 0.02 off of the perfect 30 flat. But hey, sometimes you need to do something spectacular if you want to do something crazy. And some of these drivers might be taking some inspiration from seeing the Beaver State guys back at Pocono. They were able to stretch the fuel out to cut away a whole pit stop. Might be what some of these drivers are trying to do, such as Brightsman and Kaden Anderson. If they can get to lap 71 or even a little bit further than that, that would be massive for them, because the driver that's hunting them down is Dan West Jr. He's 16.1 seconds away from Brightsman, and Dan West Jr. still needs to make an extra pit stop.
Yeah, looking on the screen, you got your last laps as they're coming across the line now. 31.758 for Brightsman. Of course, he's on older tires. You go down to 7th place, where you have Dan West Jr. on some fresh tires. Look at the difference, 30.3, not 30.6. Roughly about a second faster on fresh rubber, or fresh-ish rubber. Still 13 laps on those. So imagine what they would have been if when they were fresh. So 13 laps versus 64 laps, and you're about a second, almost 2 seconds slower. There you see 30.6 to a 32.0, so almost 2 seconds slower on old tires.
Yeah, we're starting to see, and coming over the radio is Toby Ritters, and I think he's trying to find a clearance for him to come into pit road. And this is one of those bigger issues of once you have the whole tire field on fresher tires, they can clog up pit road if you're trying to come in, and this could be costly if you find yourself starting to run out of fuel late in a run. As I think also Ritters might be thinking about just letting drivers get out of the way just in case he needs to come in. And certainly some scary moments for the drivers who are on older tires. Ryan Maines has been struggling to stay low, and his car seems to flare up, and he is costing a lot of time for the drivers behind him.
Yeah, he definitely is. And look, that's just a hornet's nest right there that you're talking about. And you got a lot of drivers in here that, they're just, like you said, trying to get by. They're basically bottlenecking the track. You got, anywhere from, it was like Anderson's coming in, but you have anywhere from almost 70 lap tires, 50, 15, 22, 25, 14. I mean, the pit stops are just all over the place right now. But Sean Brightsman still not coming down to pit road.
Yeah, and what's crazy is he's now starting to run pretty similar lap times to that of Ryan Maines. I mean, he's running faster than Ryan Maines, who took fresh rubber, and he pitted during that caution that came out 10 laps into this race. As it looks like that of Cole Raz now coming into pit road, and he was one of those drivers that pitted during the caution time. So Sean Breisman's doing something incredible, and you also can throw Toby Ritter's name into the mix of that. Our top 4 still have not pitted under green flag scenarios, but you got to be careful for back around 5th place. Dan West Jr. has just gotten passed by Lake Peterson. These are the drivers that have already pitted. This could be for the quote-unquote lead, as they're about 10 seconds back from our leader.
Yeah, they should inherit it here, and there is Sean Breisman. He's coming down pit road. 4 tires and fuel, we're sure of that, as that's going to leave about 5 drivers. So, like you said, there's your foreseen leader. Dan West Jr., he's already started infiltrating that with Lake Peterson. So you were right. I just missed him there. But yeah, these are your, what we call forecasted leaders, I guess. We predict that they'll be the leader once it all cycles around. But that's got to be Toby Ritter's coming in first. And, Toby Ritter's may get past before he actually gets there. That's if the 9 doesn't wreck him first.
He's clogging it up. He's giving Dan West Jr. a shot, but he's now going to get bumped. This is for the lead, as you've got 3 drivers all on top of one another. Toby Ritter's, he led that last lap, and now just trying to get out of the way. That's now Lake Peterson, Dan West Jr. They've got to be careful because there's still such a mix of drivers that need fresh tires or have fresher tires than everyone else. You got lap cars, lead lap cars. It's just a mess out here on the track.
Yeah, I would almost will in the pits. If you're Ritters, you're coming into the pits this time. You almost have to. He's been out there for 71 laps. He's got to be getting close on fuel. He's got to be getting close on tires. Yeah, he's coming in.
He's on the radio. He thinks that he might be running out of fuel. He meant to come in that last time by, but he was so just clogged up with everyone around him, he couldn't find space to come down. Finally able to get to pit road and hoping that he can coast his way in. Toby Ritter's, somehow, if he can stretch this thing, there's a chance that Toby Ritter's could possibly gain himself a top 15, top 10 finish with this strategy. I don't see him getting in the top 5 from this, but it certainly was a valiant effort on this team.
Yeah, and keep in mind, he just ran 71 laps on that stint. There's only 69 laps left in the race. There's a slight chance he could somehow, get out of his big red Clifford's house and pull this thing. Like he said, it's a slight chance. He may not get the win, but I'm thinking maybe he might have a shot at the win here. Because if he was running out of fuel with 71 and he's only got to go 69, 1 caution, and that's going to give him a couple more laps of fuel, he could potentially pull this thing on 1 stop, maybe. If it goes green, I think that's a more valid strategy for him. I think it might work for a top 3, possibly a win. But then again, I agree with you too. It could backfire.
Yeah, and here's the thing. He's now left 1 lap down. Last of the 5 drivers that are 1 lap down. First of those is actually going to be Cole Raz, who's trying to get himself unlapped as he is closing up to Lake Peterson and Dan West Jr., as he's coming up with a head of steam. And Cole Raz pitted about 6 laps ago, so he's got himself over 16, I believe actually 18 lap fresher tires than our lead lap car. So he's going to be trying to utilize this fresh rubber to cut his way through. But it's so interesting seeing the different strategies that are thrown out. But for Toby Ritter's, a good job on your part, trying your best on a different strategy when he was stuck in around 18th place when he pulled off this strategy that allowed him to at least lead 1 lap.
Yeah, and we'll see how it all plays out in the end. It's one of those things. It's racing. There's strategy in it. You never know which one's gonna play out. I mean, the best made plans, are plans that have backup plans. So, you plan this out. Okay, it's going to go this way, and then, you bank on 2 cautions coming out. You get enough fuel. Well, then you get 3 or 4 cautions, or you don't get any cautions. So, everything in this race is dependent on stuff happening the way you want it to. And Sam, you've been on the track probably about as much as I have, probably more. But the times you've been in races, do they ever go the way you actually plan them out in your head?
Absolutely not. I think there's only been about 2 or 3 races that have gone as I planned, which I won those races, but it is a rarity out of the probably 200 to 300 races I've ran. It's only worked out twice. So it's a very slim odds that you're going to have your plan work out. But hey, you always got to think the what ifs for almost every situation. And it's a lot better when you've got another ear talking to you and able to think out these strategies for you when you've got a crew chief or spotter helping you out in any way possible. As we're still watching some of these drivers still need to come into pit road. Ryan Maines and James Thurston, they pitted under our first and only caution of the day, but they've been out there for 64 laps. They're soon to be coming into pit road here, probably in the next 5 to any lap, coming soon in the next 5 laps.
There you go, 5 to any lap. they will be coming in at some point, that is for sure. We have 79 down, so I mean, yeah, laps are winding down, 60 to go. This race is going very quickly. We've been on air about an hour, roughly, and of course, a big chunk of that was the pre-show, getting ready for that, but it's just a valiant effort here for all drivers. Lake Peterson out front right now. I'm curious if Dan West Jr. has anything for him. Dan West Jr. obviously right there, about 3/10 away, and we got people on pit road. James Thurston and Ryan Maines back on pit road already.
Yeah, those are the 2 drivers we were still waiting on coming into pit road that pitted under our first caution around lap 10. So they pushed themselves to be out there for about 65 laps. So that's around the window we're looking for. So for Toby Ritters, he's got to be crossing his fingers that he could somehow save 4 laps of fuel, which if he starts immediately might be possible. But you know that everyone else, once they make their pit stop, there is no saving. It's make sure you use up as much fuel or tires as you need in these 2 pit stops, and know that you still have an extra set late in this race.
Yeah, and then we're watching this battle still for the lead. Is again, there you can see on board, of course, with Dan West Jr. and that 55 machine, and he's got Devin West in front of him. Do you think Devin West may play a little daddy defense here? Or, I mean, he's his son, but, daddy defense, could he, try to hold off the leader there, Lake Peterson, in the 09 and allow his dad to catch up with him and give him a shot?
I mean, he could certainly try, but I don't think he's going to do so as you see him move to the high side. Devin West, this is just, it seems like this is kind of his first time running laps here, as he is struggling to try to hold on to tires. This is a fixed setup here tonight, so everyone's running the same setup. So if he wasn't able to get a lot of practice and seat time working with this setup, it might have needed a little bit more time to recognize how to save his tires, as he has been struggling, and Devin West almost getting up into the outside wall after being passed. And going to be the first car 1 lap down, leaving us with 17 drivers still on the lead lap. And the next driver our leaders have poised to put a lap down is going to be that of Steven Paulison, which that 58 machine, he's just cruising along, just willing to stay where he's at. One of our drivers that's inside of the top 12 in points with his 1 win at Daytona. And after getting that win, he's just been in cruise control all season long.
Yeah, he has, and it's update on Jeff Stabnell. And that 24 machine, he said one of his goals was to not go a 3rd lap down. Unfortunately, that one has failed. He has gone a 3rd lap down, so unfortunate for Jeff Stabnell. But we'll see. Tonight maybe not his night, but he will definitely rebound. You never count Jeff out, He may have his little slumps in the races, but then again, when you turn around and least expect it, he'll be sitting in victory lane talking to you.
Yeah, as going back to 9th place, Evan Smith, he has got a hornet's nest in front of him that he's getting crazy with that of Sean Bridesman, able to make the pass. And you've also got drivers with extremely fast cars because they got fresh rubber, as you've got yourselves with Third in the 2 and Ryan Maines in the 13. They just pitted, got 4 fresh tires, and running off with now more drivers coming into pit road, getting their service done for themselves, as those drivers that pitted extremely early around lap 45, they're now coming in this time by.
Yeah, these pit stops Sam, or kind of reminded me like a conveyor belt. It's just non-stop. By the time you cycle through all the pit stops, it's time for the next guys to come back again. It's like a conveyor belt. They're just coming back and forth. It's just a never-ending cycle. And that's how this race is played out, where there's so many different strategies that they're constantly coming in, throughout the entire race. There's really never a time of maybe 10 laps there where somebody's not on pit road.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for these drivers, and we threw out Toby Ritters as trying a different strategy than most. He was able to stay out there for 71 laps, and halfway marker was where he got right now. First car 1 lap down for some of the freshest rubber of those drivers in 15th. I'm wondering how well he's going to continue moving forward as some drivers back into pit road. Devin West getting service again. I'm wondering if maybe he got caught with a penalty of sorts.
He very well could have. We'll keep an eye on that, see if we see anything. And we're trying to find our biggest mover, and it's actually tied at the moment. That is James Thurston, who's up 12, and John Onbacher, who's up 12 out of the two. Oh, and I spoke too soon. My apologies. Caden Anderson. 21 spots from 29th to 8th place.
Yeah, I mean, Caden's been doing a lot of work here tonight. I mean, he qualified in 8th place, and then he dropped back because of being involved in his first accident where he got tapped, moved around, and sent to the back of the pack. And this 10 machine's been doing a great job. That's called Raz, Caden Anderson has been doing the complete opposite. He started in the back and has been moving forward, but he's been dealing with a lot of trouble around him. Sean Ottenbacher, that of Tyler King and Bridesman making their moves, and also that of Stabnow mixy with these guys. Certainly a lot of drivers around one another. You got to be careful of the difference of tires, and like you said, it's like a conveyor belt of drivers coming in, so everyone's on kind of a different strategy than the drivers around them. That's why we're seeing drivers moving up and those falling back.
Yeah, drivers coming and going, and all over the place here tonight. So hopefully you're one of the guys or gals that are coming forward and not going backwards. The one driver on this track, with the exception of Dan Stussy, and he's actually not on the track at the moment, that it really has shown no progress or forward or backward progress. That is Dan West Jr. He has started second. He's in second. He has made absolutely no moves forward nor backwards here at the moment. Lake Peterson up 4 in the lead. But Dan West Jr. hasn't gone forward or backwards. He's just stayed right where he's at.
And staying consistent isn't a bad thing. I mean, for Dan West Jr. coming into tonight, 6 top 5s, 9 top 10s. Got to be feeling good for this team that's currently 4th in points. Fell back a couple of positions points-wise, as he was initially in 2nd place back at Pocono. But after Lake Peterson's showing, and once again showing like he's the favorite once he gets up front, this 09 is incredible at whenever he finds speed, and if he's up front, there's almost no one that can touch him unless we have a lot of cautions that make sure everyone stays close and jam-packed, because when things get spread out, it is all Lake Peterson.
Yeah, Lake Peterson definitely someone that you have to look out for anytime he's on the track, as he's going to be coming to, let's say, 46 laps to go. Right there. We'll hang with him for this last lap. When we get the 45 to go, we will take our final commercial break of the night here with 45 to go, assuming we don't have too many cautions or anything like that. And Sam, I don't think we're going to.
No, it's not looking like it, and also looks like we might have had a new driver entering the garage. Devin West has parked it for the evening, and one of those drivers that just never really figured out this course. And into pit road, it's going to be that of Tyler King. And just looking at the field, we're expecting a lot more drivers to just come into pit road here shortly. Oh no!
Spinning it around.
Troubles. Oh man, same spot. We saw a lot of drivers early on just coming in and rewatched it, just came in with too much speed, got into the grass, locked up his tires, and into the pit wall.
Unfortunate for ye. Pit stops are underway. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing here for the final commercial break of the night. And if we do have a caution, we will, of course, break in. Now, we'll be right back after a word from some of our sponsors.
Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, right? Our Ram trucks, truck of the year, amazing trucks. We have fun Jeeps, and then the exciting Dodge and Chrysler products. Lots of performance there, lots of excitement there. They've done a great job in really creating a full scope product line that could suit everybody's needs. Whether it's a family vehicle or a fun vehicle or a utility type vehicle or a big truck, we've got it all for our customers. Every customer, every single time needs to get our very best. From moment one, my goal managing a team here in the dealership is to make sure that that customer's experience is the very best that they've ever had. We expect and demand total transparency. There should never be a time in that transaction where the customer is wondering or not quite sure of what they're buying or what they're paying or those sorts of things. And having that transparency and doing things the right way is super important.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And so we are back from our final commercial break here of the night, barring any cautions, anything like that. I don't see too many of them coming our way here in the near future, but some really good racing is what we have seen tonight. Sean Bryson hanging in the second. Caden Anderson is your race leader, and I believe Sam went to grab a drink real fast, and nope, he is back. So Sam, welcome back, as we are, of course, right now 40 laps to go. The last 40, we went to commercial with the first 40, and we went to last commercial with the last 40 to go. This race will be wrapped up in, what, about 20 minutes if we don't see a caution.
Yeah, we got ourselves, just looking at the numbers, looks like we might have about 5 drivers that are for sure needing to pit, and then we've got about 3 that are questionable if they can make it to the end. Those 5 drivers that need to pit still are front 4, that of Caden Anderson, Sean Breisman, Cole Raz, John Ottenbacher, and then all the way down to 25th, Noah Sharensky, who was caught speeding, had his issues, currently 3 laps down. He needs to go into pit road. 3 drivers that are question marks if they can make it. They're the ones that are in 8th place, that of James Thurston, and then 9th you got Ryan Maines and Toby Ritters in 10th place. Those drivers, giant question marks on if they are going to be good to make it to the end.
Yeah, and you know, that is a really, really giant question mark for Toby Ritters. You know, he is Clifford the Big Red Dog over there. And, you know, you couldn't have a bigger question mark, almost fitting for Clifford there, as he's been known by now. But, or at least that's the name of the car anyway. Obviously, not his name, but and I'm going to be interested to see if he could possibly make this thing to the end. He definitely, you know, he's got a strategy, you know, and I think it's a decent one. I think he's got himself at least a top 5, maybe top 3, possibly the top win. That sort of thing. Is it a top win?
It's top something. I think it might be a top 10 at the. I think that's the highest he could possibly go. But yeah, just not Toby Ritters knowing that he needed to save 4 laps, and I think he was recognizing by the numbers he was going to be still another 2 laps short, even with his heavy staving. But Toby Ritter's, the question for him is he's only made one pit stop. He might come in and think about taking 4 tires here so he can get the best amount of rubber, and he is. Those right sides go up, get as much rubber as possible so he can gain all that time back. But he's going to be going at least 1, possibly 2 laps down with this pit stop. So what was looking like a very high-risk strategy, it backfired, and now he is further back than where he wanted to be.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when your strategy does not work out. And, had a caution come out and he could have saved some fuel, maybe he could have made it. But the downside to that is, of course, then, everybody would have had fresh tires. And at that point, you might as well pit too, or you're just going to get eaten alive out on the track. So, some days you got the strategy. This time, Clifford got bit in the hindquarters with the strategy, and it didn't quite work, but he definitely had what I thought was a top 5 strategy had he just had those extra 4 to 5 laps worth of fuel in the tank.
Yeah, it was a very, I like the strategy call. I mean, for Toby Ritter's coming into this race, he's 23rd in points. He needs a big risk and kind of a Hail Mary type of a play if he wants to find himself into a playoff strategy move. So, hey, why not try something drastic for himself? And we're starting to see a little bit of chaos of drivers around one another, kind of being led by the driver in 7th place, that of Thurquist, and then he's got Justin Yee making the pass for 7th place. But there is a long train of drivers pushing all the way back to what we're seeing back here, where you find that of Ryan Maines. Casey Garber is further back, but you got lap down drivers around this 13. That's making things a little more interesting when you've got old tires trying to hold off those drivers with fresh ones.
Yeah, he definitely makes it a lot more interesting, especially in the closing laps. It's one thing when these guys are all around you and you've got 100 laps to go. People are going to drive a little easier. When you get in these closing laps, people are going to start driving a little more aggressive, because they know if they want to have a shot, they've got to get on the lead lap. They've got to get past somebody who's a lap down. And that amps things up a lot. And that can pose problems for these guys that are on the lead lap, as Stab now slides up just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Maines, though, has been the man that has been the toughest driver that I've seen all race long to get by. Even on older tires, he is making those drivers with fresh rubber work for every single inch. And you saw there, Ryan not giving a lot of space to the much faster Stab now. Yes, he might be a lap car, but he's got fresher rubber and trying to make everything just difficult for everyone else. Into pit road, though, was our leader, Caden Anderson, coming in to 37. Gonna be making it about 30 laps that he needs to try to catch up, gain as much positions as possible, because Dan West Jr., he is doing everything in his power to try to run down Lake Peterson, but it's just looking like a lost cause at this point.
Yeah, it definitely is looking like a lost cause for some of these drivers. But hey, like they say, it's not over till the fat lady sings. And, I haven't heard a fat lady sing yet. So, you can't count anybody out just yet.
No, you really can't. Kaden Anderson now coming out of pit road. But do you think that she sings like fabulous or just, average?
Average.
Ooh, that is a rough critic there.
Yeah. Everything's average.
We're just keeping it all the same here as Pats for 4th place being made. Dennis Moore now going to be moving past that of Cole Raz. Still looking for Raz and for Sean Bridesman to come into pit road. Bridesman, he's banking on a caution at this point. I think for a lot of these guys that are still out there, a caution is the only thing that's in their minds. Is Kaden Anderson got caught with an exit out of pit road mistake. He had to come back into pit road for the 37.
That is heartbreaking right there. And he's had such a terrific run too. So to get caught having a penalty, devastating for him.
Now into pit road is going to be that of Sean Bridesman from leading this race into pit road. That caution never came. And now we're just seeing it trickle. More and more drivers going to be a lap down. I'm just going to throw this out there. I mean, we got less than 30 laps to go. Do you think we're going to have less than 10 drivers a lap down?
You know, I just don't know how it's all going to work out. It could not. Again, the strategies around this are just outstanding, so I'm not sure how it all does work out in the end, but Peterson's got a good car. He's always fast. Dan West Jr.'s fast, and they're not too far apart from each other, so, man, again, flip a coin. I don't know who's going to win this race tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it is a crazy one, and with most of the drivers that needed to pit already coming into pit road, let's show where they're at as everyone's going to be racing it to the end. We're going to start off on the top of the board. Blake Peterson, he has been doing a great job just getting up front when needed to, and then in second place, we'll find that of Dan West Jr., who's just been in second place for most of this race, and back in third place, Dennis Moore, our pole winner. He's just been cruising in the top 5 for most of this race, trying to figure out how to save his tires a little bit more each run. Justin Yee in 4th, thought he would have been trying to battle for second place, but with an incident coming into pit road, he's been on the coming back train from here on out. And in 5th place, we find ourselves with Chris White.
And of course, rounding out your top 10, James Thurston having a good run. He has 22 spots to the good right now. Great run for James Thurston. Tyler King, he's back right now. He's up 8 spots, having a good run in 7th position. And then number 21, Machine, Casey Garber, having a decent run. He's in the top 10, but actually down 2 spots from where he started. So he's definitely probably not happy with the way that car is working for him here tonight. And, of course, in 9th place, going to be Ryan Maines. He's up 17 spots. He's having a fantastic night as well. So definitely props to him. And to round out your top 10 here is going to be Kevin Smith, who's right now hasn't gained or lost as he's running right now. He started 10th, and that's where he resides currently at the moment. And then, of course, further on down, just to run through, is Dan Lowther, Carl Burke, Sean Breitzman, Ryan Bloom, Cole Raz, John Ottenbacher, Steven Paulison, Stephen O'Hare, BJ Tidrick, and Toby Ritter is going to round out your top 20, Sam.
Yeah, and then in 21st, you got that of Frank Harris, Brian Reynolds in 22nd. Jeff Stabnow, with everyone that's been having mistakes, he's now up to 23rd after being back in 21st for most of this race, only car a lap down. 2 laps down for the longest time. Then Aaron Cooper in 24th. Kenyon Anderson with his pit road errors put him back in 25th. Judd Wakefield in 26th. Trey Daggett in 27th. And Noah Shorensky 4 laps down in 28th. 3 drivers DNF, Devin West, Tillman, and then Stuzy, those drivers. That's your full field rundown. 20 laps to go here, Charles, and right now Blake Peterson looking good to win this race with a 2.2 second lap lead over that of Devin West. But looking at some of these other drivers, Justin Yee, he's going to be defending that 4th place as he's got White right on his back bumper. Yeah,
these guys, man, they are just duking it out. Nobody's really giving anybody a whole lot of space right now. They are just battling, and that is hard as you can battle, considering the fact that we still have a few laps to go. But again, 20 to go. I don't know. I guess I'd be racing this hard, but these guys have something to prove here, as this is the first time we've gone to Nashville. If you win, you'll forever be known as the first person to win at Nashville.
Yeah, and it's looking like Blake Peterson, he was being challenged by that of Bridesman, who's got fresh rubber. And for Bridesman, with fresh rubber, how many laps are left? It's looking good that Bridesman might be able to push himself up to at least 7th place if he can keep at the pace that he's going to the end of this thing. Possibly might be able to gain up to 6th, but that's the furthest I can see the 46 going. But for a lot of these other drivers that are already inside of our top 10, They've got little mini pocket battles that are going on. Dennis Moore half a second away from Dan West Jr. for second. That second place battle. Yee, he's trying his best to hold off that of Chris White, but the longer the run goes on, I'm liking Chris White's lane that he is running. He's running very close to the apron where the transition from concrete, the racing surface, to our apron of asphalt. He's just trying to stay right on that brim at the edge. Little bit of too much of a speed carried into that corner. It's going to hurt him on the exit.
Yeah, that's again, that's the last thing you want to is, you know, to get a mistake made this late in a race. So you'll keep an eye on all these guys, but the battles have kind of fizzled out here a little bit. You will go back here. You've got one going on. You also got a little bit of a battle going on right here between Sean Breitzman and looks like the 00, yes, of Kevin Smith. You've got this one, of course, that we've been watching. So those battles we had earlier that were just all over the place, they've started to fizzle out. And, you know, I really have to credit that, Sam, to a lot in part due to, you know, the way pit strategy has worked. These people are pitting in so many different cycles and times without cautions coming out that, or without having any cautions, that everyone's really strung out now. And we're seeing, you know, that product of that is there is a whole lot going on. This is good if you're someone who's like a race leader that doesn't want to see a caution.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, built very, with this being a concrete surface, it kind of reminds me of the way that drivers have to attack Dover in a way that you have to conserve your tires. There's a lot of different tire strategies that come into that track, but with Dover, you feel like you're kind of narrowed in, a little claustrophobic for making any types of moves. But here at Nashville, there's plenty of space. I haven't seen a lot of drivers knock on the outside wall very often, except for what brought out our first yellow, where we saw BJ Tidrick and Stabnow making their contact with one another. But ever since then, it seems like a lot of the field have recognized, hey, you don't actually have to get that close to the outside wall to be fast here. You can stay about a half of a car length or even a full car length away from the wall and still be extremely quick.
Yeah, you definitely can. And, you know, definitely, you know, the quicker you can be and, you know, more on the edge you can be is good. You know, they say loose is fast when it's dirt racing. Well, the closer you can get to on the edge of where you shouldn't be, you're probably going to be faster on asphalt too. You know, keep to that bottom line, keep to the very top line. Wherever that line is, the more precise you can be on it, the better.
Yeah, it's really, you got to make sure that the precision is there for these drivers. As still watching this battle currently that's going on for fourth place. White getting as close as he can be, but time is starting to run out for that 83 team. If he's going to want to get up to fourth place, he's got to pressure as much as he can. But I don't know if really, it just seems like that dirty air in these cup cars is just so strong, and the little air bubble that comes up when you're coming up to someone, it just seems like the 83 of Chris White just cannot overcome that barrier. And I think he might need a little bit of help from the driver that's coming up behind him, that of O'Hare, that might be able to be the different factor. But oh no, caution comes out. Cole Raz once again bringing out our second caution of the day.
Cole Raz not having the night he wanted to have here with 10 to go. One thing, we will not go into overtime yet because caution laps will be about 5 laps. So overtime will not be a factor yet. However, we'll see what happened to Cole Raz here in that number 10 machine. And the car looked good right here, but he's kind of by himself. I don't see unless something happens to the 11.
Frank Harris. It's Frank Harris.
Oh.
He just wasn't expecting the 10 to close in that fast. And Frank Harris had been so audible over the... Oh, no!
Mains.
Ooh, I didn't see that part of the wreck. It's Ryan Mains. Hard contact, and with that contact, Ryan Mains has parked it for the day, and he was one of those drivers inside of our top 15.
We got to go back and look. You can see the heavy damage there. We'll go on board with the right front. This is on board with Ryan Maines, and all seemed good. He's cruising along. We got 10 laps to go. Just a nice Sunday drive here. And, right here, there's where he sees it. You don't think anything of it. You think he's going to stay in the grass. And then, bam, right there goes the hood.
Yeah, and he already had some right-end damage. He was running 12th at the time of this contact, and now looking like he's going to go finish back in 28th position with this DNF. Oh, man, that is heartbreaking to see, as well for Cole Raz, who made his comeback after his first wreck, and now is going to be having to figure out a limp through this. But this changes the whole aspect of how this race is going to go, because you've got a lot of drivers that are going to be a lap down, thinking about a wave around, which is going to put a lot of pressure on those drivers mixed in the wave around, because a lot of them are still on that mixed strategy, some with fresh tires, some with old tires. And so you're going to be seeing a lot of drivers going to be still figuring out and mixing with one another, which could be putting us into an overtime scenario if we have another quick caution when we go green.
Yeah, this will be interesting. Do cautions breed cautions, as this is only the second one of the race? This is a good question. I want to talk to some of our drivers here. So we know Sean Brightsman's going to be up towards the front. So let's see if we can't get a word with him. We'll step away and see if we can't get him on the radio, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we have a guest with us. We do have Sean Brightsman. Sean, you're sitting right now in a good position of fourth. First off, congrats on the fourth run right now, fourth place run as you run on track. Well, how's the car handling? How's that track? It's 100 degrees. It's actually dropped 9 degrees since we started.
The Brights Petite Toyota Camry here is feeling pretty stout. It definitely feels great on new tires, so I'm looking forward to this restart. However, I only took 2 of the 4 available, so we'll see how this works out. Hopefully I don't lose too much, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, it's looking like a lot of drivers going with fresh rubber, but we know the back half of the field, a lot of them are taking the wave around. Are you concerned of another caution coming up with drivers getting a little bit too aggressive here late?
There'll be another caution for sure. It's pretty tough to pass, and with everybody on new tires, it's going to lead to a lot of opportunities for people that aren't battling up front. They're going to get a lot of runs and all that, and just not going to be sure where to take that run, either having to brake or make it 3 or 4 wide. Who knows?
Well, there you have it. If we get another caution or two, it's on Sean Brightsman. I say we're going to go the rest of the race caution-free because I have lots of... I don't know the word, but anyway, we're not going to go. We're going to stay caution-free. That being said, it looks like we're double filing up. Sean, good luck, and hopefully we'll talk to you in a bit.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Sam, I think we're going to stay caution-free the rest of this race.
That is a bold call, but you're going with your good juju that you might have going on right now. Looking at the field, though, Sean Brightsman, only driver to go with 2 tires of those that came to pit road. Those that were able to pit were those from 11th up to 1st. So all those drivers getting some fresh rubber for themselves in some way, but that of Thurston as well as that of Dan Lather had to get some extra pit repairs done for themselves. We'll see how well they can cut their way through the field, but expecting to watch out for the chaos in the middle of the pack, where we've got a lot of drivers that are gonna be on older tires mixing with those with fresher ones.
Yeah, my prediction, we're gonna go the rest of the way caution free, and I think Dan West Jr. is gonna pull the win out.
That's a pretty solid guess. Green flag back into the air, as it's going to be Lake Peterson, Dan West Jr., Dennis Moore, then a Bridesman. Your top 5 as they go into turn number 1. That of Jeff Stabnow told us that it gets pretty slick. Fresh tires coming out of turn 2. We'll see how well the field can get through as they're slipping and sliding. Little bit of a shakeup as Justin Yee trying to go to the inside and move himself up to 4th.
Yeah, these guys are just moving like crazy right now. 5 laps go, going to be 4 to go at the line. Dan West Jr., oh boy, he just whips it towards the wall, whips it back down. And things seems to be either handling really good or really bad for him as he's whipping it around out there. He's either knows there's grip or he just is on the edge of spinning it out, losing control. One of the two. Sean Brightsman, 2 tires. He's hanging in there right now in 3rd place. Will they be enough to get a top 3 though?
I mean, he started in 4th, and he is cruising up quite well, and I think it's because the driver's on fresher rubber. It's taking a while for all 4 tires to heat up properly for them to get through, while that of Bridesman, one side on his left side, a little bit more worn in, so it's allowing him to try to get through these corners better. Also looks like Dan West Jr. might be coming in a little bit too hard, as now it's going to be side-by-side for 2nd place. Got to watch out for Bridesman, though. It's caution in the back.
Caution is out, and Dan Lowther this time. And they're still wrecking.
They're still wrecking. Oh, no, Clifford involved and just completely plowing through his Briar Reynolds. And Reynolds just gave no cares. Coming off the corner, just door banging almost most of the field there.
Yeah, well, let's see what happened to him. Maybe had some kind of issue. Well, let's see. We're going to see Dan Lowther. You said Briar Reynolds.
Lowther, yeah. Lowther and that of Ottenbacher initiated the caution. They're already spun, get straightened out, and then Briar Reynolds is just, you're going to see him duck down and just take out 4 drivers for just no reason.
I'm going to take a look.
There had to be a technical issue because it just doesn't make sense why Reynolds came down the way that he did.
I'm going to watch his RPMs. It looked like the car turned sideways. We'll see here in a minute. We'll watch those RPMs and see if he locked the brakes up here.
This is going to be putting us into an overtime scenario. But yeah, look at those RPMs. They're going to be in the middle, coming out of the corner when we're going to be seeing this on the straightaway. You see the smoke from the wreck.
Yeah,
he's backing down, and yep.
Yeah, he locked it up, and the car just turned sideways right into the field.
You just, a lot of drivers are frustrated that they're going to have to come back into pit road and try to get service done with that type of contact.
Yes,
there's a freaky accident that's going on that drivers are still just wondering what the heck happened, because some of them were close to the grass when they had a random car just come cutting across and hit another car that ping-ponged them into others. Toby Ritter's one of those drivers that was caught up in that and just trying to get clarification of what the heck just happened.
Yeah, it's just, again, this is a freak thing. He goes, he hits the brakes, locks it up, and unfortunately, with the speed he's carrying, locking the brakes up, it just, in the end, it was just too much. The car couldn't handle it, and then around she went.
Yeah, most of these drivers are working with brake biases where you as the driver can move and change in your own seat. So the drivers most of the time are lowering the brake bias, trying to make sure that they aren't locking up going into the corners, but when you slam on the brakes, it will lock up the tires, and sometimes you just slide straight when you're in the corners, but when you're in the straightaway, it can throw you into the outside wall if you lock up, or into the inside where we saw that incident happen. The drivers are getting lined up. A few drivers coming to pit road, taking their final sets of tires, and for some other drivers, just trying to get repairs done, as this is going to be our first out of 2 potentially overtime attempts of a green, white, checkered, and it's going to be Lake Peterson, Dan West Jr., Sean Bridesman, Justin Yee, Dennis Moore, your top 5.
And, you got to think here, you've got these guys like Peterson and West now that, those tires, you have 8 laps on them now. They are not fresh tires. They are scuffs at this point. So does that take away Sean Brightsman's advantage of 2 older tires? Because now these are not going to be fresh tires on a restart. They're going to be older tires with about 10 laps on them. So again, does that undermine and take away the advantage that Sean Brightsman had with, only half of his tires new, half old?
This is kind of going to have to matter on what Lake Peterson does here. If he decides to go on the high side and work with his teammate so they can get a better launch with one another, then I would say that this is just a unlucky restart for that of Sean Brightsman. But if Lake Peterson decides to stay low and that of Brightsman can get up to speed, doesn't spin his tires, then this is going to be a great shot for that of Sean Brightsman to possibly sneak away with a 2nd or 3rd place finish, as it looks like Lake Peterson stays low, not going with his teammate on the high side. This is an interesting call, but we'll see if it can work out for that of the 46, second car on the inside.
Yeah, this will be very interesting. You've got to imagine, though, this is a very tough scenario if you're the Knight of Lake Peterson right now. If you take the high side, you're with your teammate. But on the flip side of that, you're going to put Dan West Jr. down there with his running mate in the 46 of Sean Brightsman, because those two, while they're technically on LSRTV Racing and West Racing, they work together. So you would have set somebody else up with their Tango partner as well. So tough call there, but he chose to break up the party and make it even for everybody.
And finishing out our top 10, Chris White, Casey Garber, Kevin Smith, as well as Tyler King and Thomas Thornquist going to be your top 10. Watch out for Cole Raz, Toby Ritter. They're in 10th and 11th. They're going to be drivers that have no fresh tires. The rest of the drivers, they do. Green flag is out in the air. It's our first attempt at a green-white checkered. Lake Peterson, he is gone with Sean Brightsman, Justin Yee on the outside. They're trying to figure out. It's Dan West Jr. It was the pull away. Brightsman side by side for 3rd.
Yeah, this battle is starting to heat up even more, and the battle for the lead is on. Here comes Dan West Jr. I think he had a run. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. He's going to get to the inside, almost making contact.
Almost, but they're coming to the line. If they can get the white flag, this race will be concluded, but no! Yellow, just 50 to 100 feet away, and it's going to be Harris Onbacher, and being spun, that's going to be the 96 of Noah Sharensky. And drivers are angry right now over the radio.
Yeah, and I don't think that they're gonna. Hopefully, they're not too angry about the incident there with the 89 and the. I believe that was the 96 on pit road. You would thought he'd have been quite transparent where you could go through him, and he wasn't quite all the way. But props to the 96. He definitely hooked it. And there's Toby Ritter's, Carl Burke, Ottenbacher, the 11 involved, 96 involved, just cars everywhere, and that insult to injury. He thinks he's see-through, but hey, props on the good turn there. He turned it right around.
Yeah, a little bit of a spin there, but if we're able to look back at it, Toby Ritter's, and if we can get an aerial view, the 23, I talked about it, him as well as Cole Raz on much older tires, but Toby Ritter's is going to be absolutely pinched here by Caden Anderson and also by the 53 into this corner, and it's just that of Carl Burke, and you're going to be seeing just not a lot of space, gets a little bit of a clip and launches him to the outside, and that's what initiates this whole entire wreck to happen. But a lot of drivers questioning what the heck just happened because of how quick Toby Ritter's car just snapped to the outside.
Yeah, and you want to see a view here? Go on board here with Jeff Stabnow as we watch this, and watch how he gets a little tap there, nothing major, but just watch how Jeff Stabnow manages to avoid all of this. He sees all this, nothing going on, just biding his time. He's currently 1 lap down. This will put him back on the lead lap if he takes the wave around. Right there, loose, cars banging, wrecking, and then narrowly avoids hitting all of it.
You want to know the crazy thing? There were so many cars involved in that Jeff Stabnow actually was the lucky dog driver. He is back on the lead lap. He was 3 laps down, 4 laps down at one moment in this race. He's back on the lead lap, 18th driver on the lead lap for Jeff Stabnow.
And looking good. He's got a nice clean car on top of it all. So I don't think he's a contender for the win here, but his car's clean and he's on the lead lap. So, I'd call that a win.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just he kept himself out of trouble, and now drivers are going to be trying to set up, restack up. Carl Burke, he's going to be taking it to the garage. Just too much damage. Umbacher's still in the pits. Troy Daggett's trying to get back out there, but he's 4 laps down. We're going to need someone to get wrecked out almost immediately and not be able to finish out the race. But man, this is how this race has just been turned upside down. We had 1 caution in the first on lap 10. It was green until about 10 laps to go, and since then it has been utter chaos of drivers mixing with one another, and it's only going to get worse because I don't know if the drivers can get back to the white flag.
It's going to be a tough one to see if they can for sure, but they're definitely going to try everything they can. Again, I said it once and I say it again. I'm not counting anybody out of this race. The only people I'm counting out of this race at this point would be anybody that is a lap down or more. So about 19th place on maybe. But if you're on the lead lap, I'm not counting you out of this race.
No, and we saw that of Dan West Jr. on that last restart. He almost had a shot to give a little bit of a tap, get under the 0.9 of Lake Peterson. Just didn't have enough space for himself, but he now can learn from that experience and try to move himself again. Once again, Lake Peterson taking the inside row, not going with his teammate, and not wanting to let the West and LSRTV little partnership work with one another. But we look back to that third row. You got Casey Garber in that of 5th place, and then you've also got that of Chris White in 6th. Those drivers going to be trying to work with one another, and then behind them, it's the ARCA drivers that have done a great job, like always, of that Kevin Smith and Dennis Moore. Moore, our pole sitter, he's trying to get himself a top 10 finish, and Tyler King and James Thurston going to be finishing out your top 10. Thurston put himself in a great position with staying out as long as he could under green flag scenarios, and now we'll see if the 2 car can gain any more positions as we're getting ready to go green.
We are going to take the green. We'll see. Is it 1 more time? Is it 2 or 3 more times? We'll find out. We are officially going to be at 149 to 50 laps as we are in overtime here for the first time tonight. Green flag is out. 2 laps to go. Can we make it to the white flag is the question.
Green flag is out, and this actually is our 1 and only attempt. I mean, our second attempt. We are done. This will be it. We either run under yellow or we finish this thing out green. Up front, Lake Peterson, Dan West Jr. It doesn't look good for Dan West Jr. as he fades back to 5th, 6th place. It's the man who took 2 tires, Sean Breisman, as they come in at turn 4. He's going to be right on the back bumper as we come to the CRN 1 to go. Breisman shakes up. Lake Peterson's pulling away.
And what a race there. You see it. White flag is officially out with your CRN. One to go. Check them out at wearecrn.com. And these guys duking it out right now. And wow, what about Lake Peterson, though, has this one pretty much wrapped up. But 2nd place is unclear at the moment. Oh, and they're wrecking behind them.
Garber able to move forward, but they're wrecking coming out of turn 4. It's all the drivers behind them. Lake Peterson, 6th win this season, continues on an amazing season for himself. And wow, Justin Yee, 2nd place. Casey Garber going to be in 3rd, but just limping his way across. That's going to be BJ Tidrick, who's going to get beaten out by Chris White. White was looking for a top 5 finish, but not able to. Here's your Pulse Poppers instant replay of the madness through 3 and 4 for all of the drivers from about 6th on back.
Yeah, we'll go to the drone, and you can see it all unfolding right there, and chaos just right there. Toby Ritter's missing it barely. Stab now. Oh, he just can't miss it. He will finish on the lead lap, though, but just, again, chaos and suing 4 drivers towards the rear of the field. But there's your race winner, and he's going to burn them down and well-deserved win. That was a hard-fought battle there with all kinds of strategy on.
And got to burn it down just for a little bit, but we all know what's coming next. Here comes the wrecking as demolition time here for the victory celebrations. And the special way. Oh, Thin Lather goes
Toby
tipping
Ritter's
around.
coming in. Okay.
Oh, Ritter got him good.
Somebody's going.
Oh, just missed all. They all missed. Oh, Dennis Moore going to be putting back on his wheels. We'll see if he's able to put himself back into a position. But the drivers are going to do another lap for those that missed.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely coming in.
Here they come.
Ta-da!
Oh, Dennis, you got to get out of the way if they're going to get a good hit.
Oh.
Looking at the field, looks like the track are in. I think most of the field is done. Lake Peterson's off the track. I think Paulson was trying to set up for a wreck, but a little bit too late as the field comes to a close. Wow. We had to use all 2 attempts, but Lake Peterson gets it done.
He does. And Dean, we'll take a quick look at your race results. Lake Peterson getting the win, followed by Justin Yee. And Justin Yee, I thought he was going to get second, but he actually got second. And that just an update on my scoring there for second. Casey Garber going to be in third, followed by Sean Brightsman, Dan West Jr., Tyler King, Kevin Smith, James Thurston, Stephen O'Hare, and Stephen Paulson going to round out your top 10.
In 11th, that's we're going to be finding that of Ryan Bloom and Dennis Moore, the drivers that we're trying to figure out how to limp their way through. Toby Ritters, we saw, somehow gave his way through with 13th place finish, and then Dan Lather, and then Cole Raz in 15th. But Jeff Stabnow, Chris White, BJ Tidrick, those are the last cars on the lead lap that did not survive the carnage. And then those that were a lap down, that of Brian Reynolds and Frank Harris, finishing out your top 20.
And rounding out the field here tonight, going to be Caden Anderson, Noah Sherinsky, Judd Wakefield, Aaron Cooper, Troy Daggett, Carl Burke, John Ottenbacher, Ryan Mays, Devin West, Casey Tillman, and Dan Stuzzi. That will be your official or unofficial race results. We're going to step aside here for just a minute, gather up our top 3 down on pit road and in Victor Lane, and we'll be right back with your post-race show. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We got at least 2 of our top 3 drivers, and those are 2 teammates here, as we like to refer to them as Bumblebee Racing, because they got yellow and black on their cars. But probably not the real official name for the team, but we like to refer to them that. In a third place, though, was Casey Garber, but we don't have him here to chat with him. So, finishing in second place is going to be the 66 of Justin Yee. Justin, you get second place here in what mostly was a caution-free race until it wasn't, and just all hell broke loose at the end of the race, and we saw chaos and cautions. And just give us a rundown of what it was like here tonight in this track. First time being in Nashville.
Happy to get second. I felt like I was probably the 4th best car out there, so that was good. We did some testing, or I did some testing on the long run, found out that it pretty much equalizes after 20 laps, and let Lake know, and he just kind of took it to heart, and he was able to really run the lines that he needed to get the lead. He was super fast on the long run. I couldn't really keep up. And then second pit stop, I forgot to turn my brake bias up to pit, and I just looped it coming into the pits. Thought that my day was over there, but I had my faster pair left. So I made my way back up to where I was, and then the cautions came out, and I kind of bullied my way into a second place there. I think I owe Dan one now, because I really used him to turn there on the second to last lap there. And then I got to the inside of Sean and he got loose, so I was able to steal second when I definitely was not a second place car. But that's good progress. It's fun not getting wrecked out of these races, and looking to come back and get a win here.
I mean, Justin, it's all about trying to survive and make it there at the end. It's there's no surprise that drivers have to get aggressive late. But speaking of seeing wrecks, I mean, we saw a lot of drivers here late in this thing getting a little bit too aggressive. And we heard from Jeff Stabnow that it seemed like it was very slick coming out of these corners. How was it for you, though, coming out of turn 2 late in this race?
The track was better at the end of the race than it was at the beginning. We put on about, well, let me see here. We put on a little bit of rubber, but then the track temp went down about 10 degrees. So really our times were about 0.3 faster there at the end than they were in qualifying. I think it's just people not really knowing that and kind of underdriving their cars some, and then some are trying to push too hard and overdrive it, and you put those two together and you get a lot of accordion effects in the middle of the pack. That's probably what we saw there.
Well, either way, it was a great race, a crazy one. Again, not a whole lot of caution, so a good race indeed. And we know you got some sponsors you got to thank on the car, so who does that be for the second place finish?
Yeah, I want to first thank Tom Denschel Auto Group for sponsoring the league. That's really helpful. That's really cool of them. I want to thank our team, Skeet Fleet Enterprises, Lake and Noah, and our owner, Jesse. And hopefully we continue the momentum. We brought the 1-2, which is really good. I think it might be the first time we've done that. Should have done that at Atlanta, but that's okay. And I just want to thank everybody involved in the league. Jeff and Sean do a great job. I took a couple weeks off there just to kind of cool down. I was kind of getting frustrated, but I'm back and I'm here to race.
Well, good to have you back, and again, congrats on second. And picking up the win here tonight, his teammate, he's all queued up and ready to go. That is Blake Peterson in the 09 machine. Oh, we just heard you took some information from your teammate, and he said you took it to heart, you valued it, and you ran with it, and you took the win here tonight. Did you think you were going to come here for the first time in Nashville and take the win, or was it kind of a surprise to you as well?
Probably more on the surprise side, if I'm being honest. I didn't have as much practice as my teammates this week. I kind of just started just before the race and took the information they gave me, which is, I think it's really helpful having really good quality teammates for these things, because you don't always have to be on 24/7 to figure out what's going on. And so just taking in quality information, I think that goes a long ways. I think I really enjoy the 750 package, and for this track, I don't know, it was refreshing being able to have the throttle do a lot of the driving, and I think that's what I like to think I'm good at it. I know there's a lot of people that are better than me, but personally I feel like that's one of my strengths on iRacing.
I mean, Lega just seemed like once you were in fresh air, it was almost easy for you in the way you were pulling away. But we saw a couple of scary moments when you guys were getting into lap traffic racing. What was one of the hardest aspects of driving in traffic in your point of view?
Oh, absolutely the dirty air. I mean, as soon as you get a little bit of clean air, it's like a completely different way of driving than when you've been in dirty air. And then as soon as you get tucked in behind someone else again, the dirty air just completely takes over. It almost just prevents the car from turning. And that's why, I don't know, when I made that pass on Dan, I wasn't trying to put him in a compromising spot or be dirty by no means. But when you have opportunities to pass people, you have to take him at places like this, just because the dirty air is so bad. So yeah, traffic is not fun. And I think that's why people try so hard to get the pole for these things, is because dirty air is so it's rough.
Yeah, dirty air, definitely not what you want to be behind. But you had clean air tonight for the race. You picked up the win. Same question. You got any sponsors on that car you got to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone at Team Skeet Team Skeet Fleet Enterprises, Justin and Noah, probably some of the best teammates you could ask for. Jesse Newen does a great job. Ton Dental Auto Group, I really appreciate the support they give this league. I mean, there's not a lot of places that have gone out of their way to help us like they have from what I've seen this year. We've had a few, but they've really outreached their arms for us in this one. Jeff and Sean have done a great job as well. I appreciate them getting us organized each and every week. The generosity, donating tracks to try and keep everyone going, making this as competitive as possible. Overall, just a lot of fun. And appreciate you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast as well.
Definitely, we're glad to be here, and we'll be here for many years to come to we're old and can't do this anymore. And congrats on the win. That being said, it's about time to wrap it up. It's going on 1 a.m. here Central Time, which means it's time for breakfast. Sam, your final thoughts on tonight's race here for our debut at Nashville, as we still have 2 more nights at Nashville on Wednesday for the SMB Cup Series and the Northwest Truck Series.
And I guess it's a new day, time for breakfast. But yeah, about today's racetrack, I mean, it was a blast to see these guys. I mean, we got to see that early wreck that came out of showing off that drivers were going to have to be running very close to one another if you wanted to make any type of aggressive passes. But it was great seeing all the different strategies that drivers were willing to take here. I mean, you saw some guys trying to turn this race into a one-stop under that green flag run. Other drivers just sticking with their two-stop ideas. And I gotta say, it was awesome seeing all the different strategies. But you know that the pressure is starting to kick in for some of those drivers outside of the top 12 in points, because we are running out of time here in the regular season. We go to Rockingham next, and then we got an off week, and then you go road course racing again, Texas, Phoenix, Kansas, and finishing out the regular season at Talladega. If you've got any of those tracks that you feel like you got a chance to win, you might want to circle it if you want a shot into the playoffs.
Yeah, you definitely want to circle it. You need it to get a win and get your shot into the playoffs. So again, it'll just be a matter of kind of holding out to see how it all pans out here for the rest of the season. But on behalf of myself, Jeff Stabnell, Sam Dyer in the booth, everyone at LSRTV, Tom Dental Auto Group, and everyone else involved in making all of this possible, we hope you have a great rest of your night, morning, if you're anywhere past Texas and on, in Central and Eastern. So again, have a great day. We'll see you on Wednesday for the SMB Cup Series, and then, of course, the Northwest Truck Series. And, of course, I'll be off for the rest of the week, and you'll be accompanied by Carlos for the ARCA Series and LTAC, if those get covered. I know LTAC will, I'm not sure on ARCA, but they'll be racing regardless. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you there.